Please try for all posterity. If anyone has please try and sit still while the question and answer period go on, because if people are moving, it really disrupts the energy of the meditation. Does anyone have a question? I hope people have questions. It's always a really powerful section of this class.
Hi, Stuart. It's Tony.
Yes, Tony.
In yesterday's class, you mentioned something about helping some folks when they were ready to go over to the other side. It's time to die. Could you give us, if necessary, some more detail into that, deeper into that?
I don't think I can go any deeper than I did, Tony. You know, how much deeper can I go than what I talked about? You know, it was very powerful, that talk. People should go to Facebook or YouTube, and listen to that talk. They will get a great deal from it. You know, I mean, because it was really a talk in depth about that kind of situation. So I don't know what else I can add to it, you know. You stumped me. Okay.
Yeah, it seemed like there was more to tell us, but maybe it's just us continuing this work and being present in the now, and that prepares us. Doing this and being here, living now.
Okay, then you just answered your question. So I don't know what do you want from me. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
It's about eyes open during the meditation.
Yeah.
I find that my eyes open and then close, and this goes on a lot during the meditation. Is the ability to keep them open related to how deep you go?
No, it isn't. You know, I mean, if your eyes get tired, there's no problem with them blinking, you know, closing. But if you're sitting there for 10 minutes with your eyes closed, you know, you're blocking the shakti from coming into you, because I transmit shakti in these classes and it will enter your system through the eyes, the shakti. And it's very important because, look, most meditation is closed eye meditation. And many people have told me they found it easier to do it that way. But we do open eye meditation for a number of reasons. The first one is that we live in the world with our eyes opened, and everything sucks our energy out of us. Every little stupid political thing, the family, everything is draining our energy out of us. And we have to learn how to be connected to life and at the same time being connected to spirit inside ourselves, so that we don't allow life to be this gigantic vacuum cleaner, sucking all our energy out of us. So the open eye aspect of this meditation is really very important, because it gives us the ability to be in the world and at the same time to be connected to higher energy in the universe. And that takes place because the mind is focused in the chakra right below the navel. And by being focused there, the heart opens, the mind gets quiet, you know, and we can connect with life. And at the same time, we're connected to spirit. A human being is a point in a triangle that connects life with spirit. Every human being is that point in a triangle. And one of the reasons why it's so chaotic in the world is that people are not focused and they can't live with their eyes open without allowing the world to suck them dry. Constant complaining about life, constant complaining about money and relationships and all the things that we have to deal with every day. So Rudi devised this meditation with open eyes, I'm almost certain, for this reason. Now, if your eyes get tired and you have to close it, it's no problem, you know? If you find yourself blinking a little bit, it's no problem. That's not going to, keep you from having a deep meditation. But if you sit there for 20 minutes with just your eyes closed, you're going to really stop this process from happening. And I've had to explain this many times to people because so many people have practiced in their lives, transcendental meditation and things like that, where they sit with their eyes closed. And I'm not putting that down. I'm just saying this is a different technique of doing inner work. And I'm just trying to give you the substance and the reasons why we do this technique. And I know doing it has made me very strong because I was able to receive shakti at the same time I'm connected to the world. And that enabled me to build a very powerful center inside myself that became that point in a triangle that connected spirit with life.
That was the best response that I have ever heard and totally explained it. My next thought is that, does that mean that at all times you are transmitting shakti in some way?
Yes. I mean, even if I'm not working with you, your eyes are focused here and the shakti is coming into you. Yes. And I always say this, and I think it's kind of funny, I mean, I spent 30 years in the Asian art business. I said this to somebody earlier today. And look, I handle, I don't know how many hundreds and kind of thousands Buddhas, all sitting in lotus position. And I never saw a Buddha with their eyes closed. I've seen them with their eyes half closed, but never with their eyes completely closed. Always connected to the world, and the best of the sculptures were connected to the world, and they were completely focused in the hara, in the chakra below the navel.
Thank you.
So it's an important element in this work, and it's very different than most meditations, but it works, for God's sake. It's just an extraordinary thing that Rudi devised. And I never spoke to him about this, or, but I'm sure he devised it because of what I'm saying. It's an instrument that really gives us strength to live in the world and to be free of the world.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? These questions are so much a part of this meditation, period, that I always hope people have questions, because so much incredible stuff comes out when people ask questions that have depth to them, Did somebody else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart. Can you talk about swallowing up and opening the channel between the top of the head and the heart?
You'll have to repeat that. I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I was asking if you could talk about swallowing up. I heard Rudi talk about swallowing, but he said swallowing up and opening the channel.
I talked about breathing up, not swallowing. I never heard him mention swallowing up. He gave a little exercise once, actually in Big Indian, where he said this is a way to open the crown chakra by, instead of breathing down into the navel, your mind stays there, but you just take a simple breath up into the crown chakra, and that will open that chakra. And I mean, I never heard him mention anything about swallowing up. I don't know how you can swallow up. I mean, you choke yourself, But he did speak on a number of occasions about this little exercise about breathing into the crown chakra. It'll open the crown chakra. Also, in dealing with the crown chakra, you have to have patience. Excuse me, because energy germinates there. I mean, if you ever see a statue of the Buddha, most of them have like a big bump on the top of their head. And that's the shakti from the base of the spine, gathering in the crown chakra. And then it opens, and it's called the 1,000-petal lotus or the Sahasrara. And that opening of the crown chakra allows the soul to connect with the soul of the universe. Excuse me, but that takes time. It takes a continuum of time, of practice in oneself to build up enough energy in the crown chakra so that it will just open. And it opens gracefully, It's not like, some painful opening. It opens. And the soul connects with. And, that's the Kundalini path to enlightenment. And the little exercise Rudi gave, that's the purpose that it was for. To open the crown chakra.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Yes, Stuart, addressing what you just said, if we didn't even do that slight breath, this will happen organically anyway.
Yes. But I would suggest doing that breathing up, but don't do it a lot. Maybe in class, do it once. Maybe right before you go to bed, do that little breath up, but don't make a practice of doing this for like a half hour straight. You might just blow your mind away. It's a very powerful exercise. So maybe right before you fall asleep, take a little breath up, and it might help you work all night while you're sleeping, in connecting to that higher force. Do it maybe once in a period of a class, and it might help, that chakra to begin to open. But don't do it for 20 minutes straight. It could be very difficult. You don't want to, look, there was a young man I spoke to today who, I talk about this all the time, who got training in spiritual practice and had his Kundalini activated, but was never given any grounding or taught how to ground himself. And it really was, continuing in that path probably would have forced that person to go into a sanitarium. You need to be grounded inside. Can't fool around with this. We're dealing with powerful energies. And that's why the whole training that I give evolves around that point in the triangle that connects spirit with life. We are that point. We need to ground ourselves, and we need to be able to absorb that energy and to be strong enough to work with that energy. And that's incremental. It takes time, and it takes building an inner life that is strong enough to do what I'm talking about. And you can't be impatient about this. Patience is a virtue, they say. It's almost trite. Well, it's really a virtue when you're trying to have a spiritual life. Or what happens, not all the time, but could happen, like that young man who went through literally hell. He was describing what he went through to me. And I wouldn't even let him come to the class. It would be too strong. So I'm going to have conversations with him maybe once or twice a week and prepare him for this. I asked him to read one of my books where I go into all this stuff, And this is very important because I have to be conscious, you all have to be conscious. And this is not a game. This is not, something, that you play as a game. It's a real, meditation that will bring ultimately spiritual enlightenment, but it has to be built inside. You have to gradually build it and grow with it and continue to strengthen the chakra system so that when the crown chakra does open and the Kundalini is moving through the crown chakra, you have the inner capacity to stay rooted and grounded while that is happening. I am sure there are sanitariums full of people that could tell you about their Kundalini experiences. I'm sure of it. And it was so clear to me today in talking to that young man. And I told him, no, you're not ready to attend my classes. You know, this is too strong. And I don't want to be responsible. So gradually, if he continues to have sessions with me, or I talk to him, I will prepare him to come and do these meditation classes. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, I have a follow-up question. So with what you just said, does practicing on centering and focusing below the navel, just as a practice, start to open the Kundalini to move? Because does the grounding almost trigger the Kundalini movement?
No, what'll trigger the Kundalini movement is you bring 5% of your attention to the base of the spine. That focus of the 5% will activate the Kundalini. You can rotate on the base of your spine. That will activate the Kundalini. Drawing energy through the sexual chakra will activate the Kundalini, because that marriage, as I always talk about, the male-female principle, is a marriage that takes place in the sex, and it gives birth to the Kundalini. But all the time, you've got to be grounded. Otherwise, we don't want, people registering and, wherever, anyway, I don't want to get into it, You've got to be grounded. Just bring 5% of your attention to the base of the spine. That will activate Kundalini. Rotate. You can even squeeze your buttocks a little bit. That will activate the Kundalini. But all the time, stay centered. I mean, like Rudi always talked about, it's like being a one-man band doing the chakra system. You've got to be able to consciously know how to work and open each instrument, each chakra. And all the time, you've got to be centered and grounded inside. Gratitude opens the heart. Bringing the mind below the navel opens, the third eye, the mind. Bringing a piece of your attention to the base of the spine will activate, and it'll also help draw energy through the sexual area to the base of the spine. All of this works together, and it all works because a person is rooted inside.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Your questions are very helpful. They're very nice. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
Is there a place in spiritual life for the intuition as a way of making decisions and helping to integrate the mundane world, so-called, and the spiritual path, or is it just an illusion?
What's the question? You're answering your own.
Is there any value? Can intuition sometimes be a tool for personal
intuition
dilemmas?
Look, it's an essential element, and your intuitions are usually right on. Then you start thinking about them, and then you start analyzing them, and you mess up the whole process. When you have that centeredness and balance in yourself, the intuition will truly work for you and make real and correct decisions about your life. Intuition is an essential ingredient, because intuition comes from a connection with creative energy, and that creative energy will flow through you, and it will really, become a guiding force in your life. So yes, intuition is a very important aspect of this, and you have to trust it. I trust it. I trust it in every meditation I do, because I have no idea what's going to happen in these classes. And it's only through intuition and through a trust of creative energy that these classes work. Not because I think about them and analyze them. and try to plan out what I'm going to do. I mean, I stopped planning my life 20 years ago. I get up in the morning and I do what the day brings. Mm-hmm. So I live my life. And it's all based on intuition, not plotting out every movement. What a boring way to live, you know? I mean, it just represents a kind of false security and a false safety that doesn't work. And it doesn't allow you to improvise with life. You know, it's like a jazz musician not improvising, you know, but playing structured compositions, you know, I mean.
Yeah, it's not, for me, it's nothing that I've thought about. It's just, it comes spontaneously. And.
Okay, Claudia, good.
So, okay.
Good. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be a class on Wednesday. Hopefully people will attend. And, you know, I'm doing in-person classes and it's been really powerful. I've had 2 of them today, you know. It's like a retreat, for God's sake, you know, these classes, and they're very powerful. And, you know, people are invited to attend, and also, God bless you all. Thank you for being in these classes. They really are a kind of minor miracle going on in this crazy world that we live in today. And I'm very grateful to be here and to share whatever I've learned in my life with all of you. So God bless you all. Thank you. And we'll have a meditation on Wednesday. Bless you.
Good night.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.